Madam, do you want to take oath or affirmation?
Oath, please.
In which language would you like to take the oath?
In Sanskrit, please. अहं श्रेष्ठ शिवाजी नामधेया अत्र लोकसभाया सदस्यत्वेन निर्वाचिता शपेयत् अहं विधिना स्थापिते भारतस्य संविधानं प्रति सत्यं श्रद्धां निष्ठां च धारयिष्ये तथा भारतस्य सम्पूर्णप्रभुत्वसम्पन्नताम् अखण्डतां च अक्षुण्णां रक्षिष्यामि तत्यत् पदं गृहीतुम् उद्यता अस्मि अहं तस्य कर्तव्यानि श्रद्धापूर्वकं निर्वक्ष्यामि
Affirmation. In which language would you like to take the oath?
इन हिंदी प्लीज। मैं अंजलि शर्मा जो युवा संसद की सदस्य निर्वाचित हुई हूँ, मैं ईश्वर की शपथ लेती हूँ, सत्यनिष्ठा से प्रतिज्ञा करती हूँ कि विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति श्रद्धा रखूंगी, देश की प्रभुसत्ता और एकता बनाए रखूंगी तथा जिस पद को मैं ग्रहण करने वाली हूँ उसके कर्तव्यों का श्रद्धापूर्वक निर्वहन करूंगी। धन्यवाद।
Will now take the oath or affirmation. Sri Sachidananda Murthy. Sir, do you want to take oath or affirmation?
Affirmation, please.
In which language would you like to take the affirmation?
In English, please. I, Sachidananda Murthy, having been elected a member of Lower House of Youth Parliament, solemnly affirm that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by the law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter.
Institutions and universities. He distinguished himself as an administrator, a planner, and a well-wisher of farmers.
मैं विपक्ष की तरफ से हार्दिक श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं। राजीव महाजन जी का कृषि एवं सहकारी समितियों के विकास में अहम योगदान रहा है। हमें ऐसे कर्मठ एवं कर्तव्यनिष्ठ नेता को खोने का बहुत बड़ा दुख है। हम उनके पीड़ित परिवार को हमारी हार्दिक संवेदनाएं हम संसद के माध्यम से प्रेषित करते हैं।
Ma'am, I have pleasure in introducing to you to the House my colleagues, the new minister, Srimati Vaishali, Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers. Sri Dham Singh, Minister for Information and Broadcasting. Thank you, madam.
Now, the question hour starts. Question number 201, Sri Jaiprakash Agarwal, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, will the Minister of Power be pleased to state the per capita power consumption of the country as compared to developed countries of the world? and the steps taken by the government to increase the generation of power so as to increase the per capita power consumption.
Minister for Power, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, the per capita power consumption in the country for the year 2012 and 13 was 883.63 kilowatts of power, and the per capita power consumption in the various countries of the world for the year 2013 is as follows. United States of America, 13,227 kilowatts of power. Australia, 10,514 kilowatts of power. Japan, 7,847 kilowatts of power. Steps taken by the government to increase the per capita power consumption inter alia are renovation, modernization, and life extension of old and inefficient generating units.
Even in the capital city, Delhi, also severe power cuts are there. The government is failed to solve those problems. It is shame on the part of government.
Coordinated operation and maintenance of hydro, thermal, nuclear, and gas-based power stations to optimally utilize the existing generation capacity. Promoting energy conservation, energy efficiency, and demand-side management measures. Advising the states to tie up for procurement of power to meet their demand in accordance with their anticipated demand-supply scenario. Thank you, madam.
Shri Jaiprakash Agarwal, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, will the Minister of Power be pleased to state whether any assessment or evaluation has been carried out by the government to find out the estimated demand of power in the country during next 20 years? If so, the details thereof, or if not, the reasons therefore.
Minister for Power, please.
Yes, ma'am. The forecast of electrical energy requirement and annual peak electricity load as per the 18th Electric Power Survey by the end of 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th is as follows. Electrical energy requirements for the year 2016 and 17. 13,54,874 million units. 2031 and 32. 37,10,083 million units. Annual peak electricity load for the year 2016 and 17. 1,99,540 megawatts. 2031 and 32. 5,41,823 megawatts. Thank you, madam.
No more supplementary questions, please. Question number 202, Shri Shiva Prasad, please.
Honorable Speaker, madam, will the Minister for Finance be pleased to state what percent of people in India is below the poverty line? What is the rank of India in HDI in the world? What is the strategy of the government to reduce poverty in the country?
Minister for Finance, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, as per the Planning Commission of India estimation, people below poverty line in India are 21.9%. The HDR covers 187 countries across the world and it is published annually by United Nations Development Programme. In the current report, the top 5 countries ranked in terms of HDI are Norway, Australia, Switzerland, Netherlands and the US. India is ranked 135 among the median development countries like Egypt, Mongolia, Philippines and Indonesia. Among Indian neighbors, Bhutan and Bangladesh too figured in this category. While Pakistan ranked 146 and Nepal 145 are in the low development category, while Sri Lanka ranked 76 is in the high development category. Our government is implementing programs like National Awas Yojana, Again Loan Waiver to small and marginal farmers, effective implementation of public distribution, National Old Age Pension Scheme, National Old Age Pension Scheme, National Family Benefit Scheme, etc. to reduce poverty in the country. Citing recent estimations, I am very happy to report the House that our India would need to spend just about 4% of its GDP to provide all this. Thank you, ma'am.
Shri Shiva Prasad, please.
Honorable Madam, in India, more than 80% of people are in unorganized sectors and these people are exploited in many ways like insecurity in job, low paid work, no rules and regulation in the work, etc. Will the Minister for Finance be pleased to state what steps are taken by the government to protect the rights of the people in the unorganized sectors?
Minister for Finance, please.
Ma'am, our government is fully committed and taking several steps to protect the rights of people in unorganized sectors like creating marketing facilities, storage facilities, substitutes of farmers, and supply of agricultural inputs and credit facilities to the farmers in rural areas. We will procure raw materials and marketing materials for the workers in small-scale industries. And we are taking necessary precautions to check the exploitation of rich landlords and factory owners in both urban and rural areas. Thank you.
No more supplementary questions, please. Question number 203, Ms. Saroja Devi, please.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदया, हमारे भारत की भौगोलिक एवं सांस्कृतिक विशेषताओं को देखते हुए हमारे देश में पर्यटन विकास की विपुल संभावनाएं हैं। द ट्रैवल एंड टूरिज्म कॉम्प्लीट्यूएंस रिपोर्ट 2011 के मुताबिक पर्यटन संस्थागत के अनेक पक्ष अभी भी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मापदंडों के हिसाब से खरे नहीं उतरे हैं। भारत सरकार ने 1,50,000 होटल कमरों की कमी की पहचान की है। माननीय अध्यक्ष, मैं आपके माध्यम से पर्यटन मंत्री महोदय से यह जानना चाहती हूं कि पर्यटन को उन्नत एवं विकसित करने के लिए क्या भारत सरकार ने कोई नई पर्यटन नीति बनाई है? यदि हाँ, तो उस विवरण को संसद के सामने प्रस्तुत किया जाना चाहिए। यदि नहीं, तो क्या भविष्य में ऐसा करने की कोई योजना है? धन्यवाद।
Minister for Tourism, please.
जानना चाहती हूं कि कौन सी संस्थाएं पर्यटन के क्षेत्र में काम कर रही हैं। धन्यवाद।
Minister for Tourism, please.
माननीय महोदया, पर्यटन मंत्रालय के 21 फील्ड ऑफिसेज भारत में तथा 18 संस्थाएं विदेशों में काम कर रहे हैं। भारत पर्यटन विकास निगम, पर्यटन वित्त निगम, होटल मैनेजमेंट एवं कैटरिंग टेक्नोलॉजी इंस्टीट्यूट, मेरा मंत्रालय इनक्रेडिबल कैंपेन को निरंतर चालू रख रहा है। मुझे ये तथ्य संसद के सामने रखते हुए खुशी है कि मेरा मंत्रालय शीघ्र ही एक राष्ट्रीय नीति बनाने जा रहा है। इसमें हम ये प्रावधान रखेंगे कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मापदंडों के हिसाब से कुछ नए होटलों का निर्माण किया जाए, पर्यटकों की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित की जाएगी तथा पर्यटकों को सरकारी गाइड मुहैया कराए जाएंगे तथा कुछ पर्यटक स्थलों का पुनर्निर्माण किया जाएगा तथा कुछ स्थलों को यूनेस्को की हेरिटेज सूची में शामिल कराने का प्रयास किया जाएगा। इन सब के लिए भारत सरकार ने 25 अरब रुपए बजट आवंटित किया है। धन्यवाद।
No more supplementary questions, please. Question number 204, Ms. Srimati Kavita Mukherjee, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, in India, more than 70% of people are living in villages, but the villages are lacking the basic infrastructural facilities. The previous governments failed to provide the basic amenities and infrastructure to rural India. Madam, will the Minister for Rural Development be pleased to state what the government is taken the steps to develop our rural India?
Minister for Rural Development, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, as India an agricultural country, our government committed to develop rural India. The steps taken are reversing the trend of taking agricultural land for special economic zone purpose by increasing investment in irrigation and wasteland development, by creating good marketing facilities for agricultural produce, investing in rural healthcare and education, investing in rural roads and electrification, setting up commodities market, ensuring against risk in farming and rural business. Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Srimati Kavita Mukherjee, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, after 68 years of independence of India, still the farmers are committing suicides in Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and other parts of India. It is shame on the part of government.
Members to maintain decorum of the house, please.
It seems that the government is doing nothing for the farmers and cultivators of India. Madam, will the Minister for Rural Development be pleased to state what the government is provide alternative employment to poor farmers and to prevent suicide among the farmers? Thank you.
Minister for Rural Development, please.
Madam, rural agriculture is a seasonal activity. The farmers are facing disguised and seasonal unemployment. I am able to understand the feelings of Srimati Kavita Mukherjee. It is so sad that still farmers in our country are committing suicides. But my government is taking all measures to stop suicides of farmers and to make agriculture as a profitable work. Loan rescheduling, interest waiver, and specific schemes for watershed development, seed replacement, horticulture, extension services, subsidiary income through livestock, dairying, fisheries development, etc.
Ms. Srimati Kavita Mukherjee, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, I thank you for giving me another opportunity. Will the Minister for Rural Development be pleased to state what the government is doing to solve the problem of storage so that the wastage of food grains be stopped?
Minister for Rural Development, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, my government is really concerned about the inadequate storage facilities of food grains and edible oils. Due to inadequate storage facilities, a large quantity of food grain is spoiled. As the largest procurer of food grains, the center required a storage space of 80 million tons, but only 64 million tons is available now. The center had proposed the states to hold at least 3 months of PDS stock, but government cannot resolve this. So I urge private sector to work with the government to evolve long-term solutions. Thank you, ma'am.
Now, question hour is over. No more supplementary questions, please. Now, papers to be laid. Honorable Minister of Industries, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, I beg to lay on the table a copy of each of the following papers under subsection 1, 619, the Companies Act 1956. The first thing is to review the government on the working of Hindustan Machine Tools, Bangalore for the year 2013 and 14. Annual report of Hindustan Machine Tools, Bangalore for the year 2013 and 14, along with the audited accounts and also the comments of Comptroller and Auditor General thereon. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of Environment and Forest, please.
Honorable Speaker, Madam, I beg to lay on the table a copy of the following papers under Environment Protection Act 1986. First of all, the review by the government on the working of the Central Pollution Control Board of the year 2013 to 14. Secondly, the annual report of the Central Pollution Control Board of the year 2013 to 14, along with the auditors, accounts, and the comments of Comptroller and Auditor General thereon. Thank you, Madam.
Secretary General to report message from the upper chamber of the Youth Parliament.
Madam, I have to report the following message received from the Secretary General from the upper chamber of the Youth Parliament. In accordance with the provisions of the rules of procedure and conduct of business in the upper house of the Youth Parliament, I am directed to enclose a copy of Food Security Bill 2014, which has been passed by the upper chamber of the Youth Parliament, has its sitting held on.
Secretary General to lay a copy of the bill as passed by the upper chamber of the Youth Parliament.
Madam, I lay on the table of the House the Food Security Bill 2014 has passed by the upper chamber of the Youth Parliament.
Honorable members, I have to make an announcement. On behalf of the Youth Parliament honor, I have great pleasure in extending our warm welcome to His Excellency, Mr. John Robert, Member of the France Parliament. Mr. Paul Yanji Cho, Member of the Korea Parliament. And Ms. Yumiko Koirala, Member of the Bhutan Parliament, who are on to visit India as our honored guest. It is very high-powered delegation. The delegation arrived on Monday, 18th August 2014. They are now seated in special box. We wish them happy and fruitful stay in our country. We also convey our warm greetings and best wishes to them. Honorable members, now we will take up calling attention. I have received many lists of business from Shri Akshay Kumar, Shri Deepika Mishra, Shri Pattabhiram, Shri Ramanachari and many others. But among these, I think the most important and burning matters are raised by Sri Akshay Kumar, Sri Deepika Mishra, Sri Amit Ramanachari, and many others. Sri Akshay Kumar, please.
माननीय महोदय, मैं संसद का एक समसामयिक एवं ज्वलंत विषय की ओर ध्यान आकर्षित कराना चाहता हूं। अभी हाल ही में चाइना ने फिर से अरुणाचल प्रदेश की सेना घुसपैठ करने की कोशिश की है। परिणाम स्वरूप भारत चाइना सीमा पर दोनों सेनाओं के बीच तनाव की स्थिति बनी हुई है। माननीय महोदय, भारत सरकार को सीमा पर हो रही घुसपैठ को रोकने के लिए कठोर से कठोर कदम उठाना चाहिए।
Ms. Deepika Mishra, please.
आतंकवादी संगठनों का समर्थन कर रहा है। पाकिस्तान भारत की संप्रभुता, अक्षुण्णता एवं अखंडता को आतंकवादी घटनाओं के माध्यम से चुनौती दे रहा है। मैं सरकार से यह मांग करती हूं कि पाकिस्तान को एक आतंकवादी राष्ट्र घोषित करना चाहिए तथा आतंकवादियों की घुसपैठ को रोकने के लिए कठोर से कठोर कदम उठाने चाहिए। अध्यक्ष महोदया, मैं इस संदर्भ में एक महान कवि की कुछ पंक्तियां कहना चाहूंगी। जो अब तक ना खौला वो खून नहीं पानी है, जो अब तक ना खौला वो खून नहीं पानी है, जो देश के काम ना आए वो बेकार जवानी है, जो देश के काम ना आए वो बेकार जवानी है। धन्यवाद।
Minister for External Affairs, please.
आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, संसद के सामने मैं आप पूरे विश्वास के साथ स्पष्ट कर देना चाहता हूं कि अरुणाचल प्रदेश भारत का एक अभिन्न हिस्सा था, है और रहेगा। चाइना सरकार के साथ हमारी बातचीत जारी है। सैनिक स्तर पर हमारी उच्च स्तरीय बैठक हो चुकी है और हम आशा करते हैं कि भारत एवं चाइना इस सीमा विवाद को लेकर शांति से कोई स्थायी हल निकालने की कोशिश करेंगे। धन्यवाद।
Minister for Defense, please.
आदरणीय महोदया, मैं दीपिका मिश्रा जी की भावनाओं को समझते हुए कहना चाहता हूँ। हे आसमां, हम अभी से क्या बताएं क्या हमारे दिल में है। हे आसमां, हम अभी से क्या बताएं क्या हमारे दिल में है। देखना है जोर कितना बाजुए कातिल में है। आदरणीय महोदया, भारत सरकार इस मामले को लेकर गंभीर है। मैं संसद को विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि आगे से ऐसी घटनाओं पर अंकुश लगेगा तथा हम कोशिश करेंगे कि इस समस्या का कोई स्थायी समाधान जल्दी ही निकले। मैं इस संदर्भ में एक शायरी कहना चाहता हूँ। आंधियों में भी जैसे कुछ चिराग जला करते हैं, आंधियों में भी जैसे कुछ चिराग जला करते हैं, उतनी ही हिम्मत से हौसला हम भी रखा करते हैं। यह मत सोचो कि हम आपसे डरा करते हैं, ये मत सोचो कि हम आपसे डरा करते हैं। हम पंखों से नहीं पर हौसलों से उड़ा करते हैं। धन्यवाद।
Sri Pattabhiraman, please.
Honorable Speaker, terrorist insurgents in India have become a gravest threat to our country. The extent and magnitude of their operations are so gigantic that they are affecting the social, economic and political and even well-being of the country. There are scores of insurgent and terrorist groups operating in the country. Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed and other groups became a biggest challenge to our national security. They have complete disregard for democracy, laws and human values. They have been committing crimes like abduction, killing with impunity. There is an urgent need to counter terrorism and insurgency in the country. Thank you, ma'am.
Home Minister, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, over the last 10 years, terrorism has become the single most important issue facing the countries of the world. From 9/11 in the United States to the train bombings in Spain, from the metro attacks in United Kingdom to the Bali bombings in Indonesia. Terrorism is today a truly global phenomenon, but India is not immune to this phenomenon. In fact, ironically, India's commitment to plurality, secularism, and tolerance for multiple faiths and beliefs has made it a favorite target for many terrorist groups. Terrorism therefore poses an extraordinary challenge to all the governments across the world. Our approach to counter-terrorism and insurgency are greater use of technology, better coordination, better security, and more security forces, and speedy investigations and trials. We have set ourselves two goals. First, to raise the level of preparedness to the increasingly raised sophisticated terrorist threats. Second, to enhance the speed and decisiveness of response to a terrorist threat or a terrorist groups. On behalf of government, I am assuring that we will not compromise on the safety and security of the people. Thank you, sir.
Sri Ramanachari, please. Minister should maintain the decorum of the house, please. Minister for Finance, please.
Sir, I am not agreeing to the statement of our honorable member Ramanachari. It is entirely baseless. Our government is very much concerned and serious about the problems of our country. And I assure the House that we will solve all the economic and financial problems at the earliest.
Honorable Minister of Law and Justice to introduce the bill.
Sir, I beg to move for leave to introduce the bill. The Judicial Standards and Accountability Bill 2014.
The question is, the leave be granted to introduce the bill, the Judicial Standards and Accountability Bill 2014. Those who are in favor, will please say aye. Aye. Those who are against, please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Leave is granted. Minister for Law and Justice, please.
Sir, I introduced the bill.
The bill will be considered in the next section of the Parliament. Now the House will take up the consideration of the bill. Honorable Minister of Women and Child Welfare to introduce the bill for the Emancipation of Women and Gender Equality 2014. Minister of Women and Child Welfare, please.
Sir, I beg to introduce a bill for women empowerment and gender equality 2014.
The question is that leave be granted to introduce the bill for women empowerment and gender equality 2014. Those who are in favor, please say ayes. Those who are against, please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The bill is introduced. Minister for Women and Child Welfare, please.
Sir, I wish the bill be taken into consideration by the House.
The House will take up the consideration of the bill of the Women Empowerment and Gender Equality Bill 2014. Minister, please.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the bill to provide emancipation of women position in society, giving equal opportunities in government and other sectors. That the bill to provide for stringent punishment to curb atrocities against girl child and women, and for matters connected to be taken into consideration. Sir, as we all know that in our society, despite reforms and awakening, it is very unfortunate that young girls and women are still most vulnerable to various atrocities and violence, teasing and molesting them even at public places, which need to be dealt severely by providing deterrent punishment. Therefore, with a view to provide more stringent punishment to those abetting the act of atrocities, the government has brought forward this bill before this august House. Salient features of some of the important provisions of the bill are as follows. Any person who outrages the modesty of any woman shall be punished with imprisonment which shall not be less than 10 years and fine which may extend up to rupees 10 lakh. Any person who commits the offense of rape on any girl, child or woman shall be punished with death. The appropriate government shall, with the concurrence of the concerned High Court, establish a special court in each district to try offences under this Act. We also propose banning of abortions and scanning to know the sex of fetus. Banning ugly advertisements in TVs and newspapers. Emphasized adolescent education programs. More economical, financial and legal support to the National Commission for Women. 50% of reservations in state and central legislature to eradicate gender prejudice and creating a fairer society. Honorable Speaker, I am confident that all the honorable members of this House, irrespective of party affiliation, will welcome the bill wholeheartedly and through it help to eradicate social ills against women and emancipate the position of women and bring equality with men. The bill be taken into consideration.
Motion moved that the bill to provide for the equal opportunities to women in all spheres and emancipation of women in society is taken into consideration. Srimati Sakshi Sivanand, please. Srimati Sahana, please.
Honorable Speaker, sir, India is emerging as world power. Our former President, Shri APJ Abdul Kalam, also visioned that India will be superpower by 2020. Our country is progressing in many fields. It is also a member of Space Club. So, we are able to send satellites into space. Our country is one of the nuclear powers of the world. It is the fourth largest economy in the world. Transportation and communication has also improved.
Please come to the point.
Yes, sir. My point is, are the reservations necessary in our country at present? Earlier, reservations are introduced only for 15 years, but the government is extending further and further. Reservations had already crossed 50% mark in India. The Supreme Court has already instructed that reservations should not cross 50% mark. Women not at all needed any special reservations. In my view, only depressed class women need special rights and reservations, which they already enjoy. Honorable Sir, I am proposing an amendment on clause number 11 that the rapist will be given death sentence with severe punishment. We cannot bring change in the criminal mentality. We should give a chance to change their lives. However, we do not have any right to take others' life. So, this is my objection against the bill.
Sri Mitra, please.
Honorable Speaker, sir, women have always been a victim of molestation and sex abuse. But the incident of Guwahati and Delhi, which attracted media's attention, was a shocker. It was really a brutal act being committed by 20 so-called moral policing agents who think they have a privilege of being a male and they can do anything what they want. India is not the best place for women to work and move freely on streets. Speaker, sir, it would have been better if the government had taken some steps against caste panchayats also. In my view, this bill should have strict punishment for self-proclaimed moral agents. I hereby support this bill and request the government to have female judges to hear the cases against women. Thank you, sir.
Sri Sudhakar, please.
Speaker, sir, the violence against women is partly a result of gender relations that assumes men to be superior to men. Given the subordinate status of women, much of gender violence is considered normal and enjoys social sanction. Manifestations of violence include physical aggression, burns, attempted murder, sexual abuse, and psychological violence through insults, humiliation, economic or emotional threats. I believe this bill will strongly deal with domestic violence and serve its purpose. Hence, I support this bill. Thank you, sir.
Sri Raghuram, please.
Honorable Speaker, sir, the number of cases of rapes of girl, child and women are increasing rapidly. Some of these girls and women are brutally killed after rape. There is no fear of law among the rapists. Hence, it has become necessary to provide deterrent punishment for the perpetrators of the atrocities against the girl, child and women in order to restore a respectable position of the girl, child and women in the society. It is expected that such stringent measures will curb the atrocities against the girl, child and women in the society. I suggest the Honorable Minister to also look into the matter of rehabilitation of rape victims. Hence, I support this bill.
Sri Nagarjuna, please.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I thank you for giving me an opportunity to participate in this debate. I will not go into different aspects of women atrocities because the learned speakers before me have already dealt with it at large. The only thing I want to point out is that Though this bill tries to cover one social evil, the fact remains that the many cases of dowry and female infanticide often involves the female's counterpart in it. So we should seriously think how to empower the women is the only way to eradicate the mindset of the people of India. I think there are enough provisions in our constitution and Indian Penal Code to deal with the problem of women atrocities. So we don't need another bill for this. I think that I oppose the bill. Thank you, sir.
Opposition Minister, please.
माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, आज अपने देश में महिलाओं की स्थिति में काफी सुधार हुआ है। ऐसा कोई भी काम नहीं है जो वे कर नहीं सकती, लेकिन कहीं कहीं पर महिलाओं को अपने ही सहकर्मियों एवं पुरुष अधिकारियों से कई समस्याओं का सामना करना पड़ रहा है। पुरुषों के द्वारा मानसिक और शारीरिक उत्पीड़न की समस्या दिन ब दिन बढ़ती आ रही है, जो बहुत ही खेद का विषय है। बदलते समय के साथ महिलाओं की सुरक्षा और संवर्धन के कई ऐसे कानून बनाए गए हैं जिससे वो किसी भी पीड़ा का शिकार होने पर अदालत की कानूनी मदद ले सकें, लेकिन फिर भी कई समस्याएं वहीं की वहीं धरी हैं जिनका कोई समाधान नहीं मिलता है। अब जरूरी है हम अपने संकुचित मनोवृत्ति के स्थान पर महिलाओं के प्रति विशाल दृष्टिकोण को स्थान दें। माननीय अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं अपनी बात एक छोटी सी युक्ति के साथ समाप्त करता हूँ। यत्र नार्यस्तु पूजिते तत्र देवता विराजते। धन्यवाद सर।
Sri Prime Minister, please.
Honorable Sir, in our country, where even today nearly 26% of the population lives below poverty line, high infant mortality rate, poor medical facilities, extremely unhygienic conditions of living, and absence of prenatal and postnatal care, high maternal mortality rates in rural areas. To quote Swami Vivekananda, there is no hope of rise for that family or country where there is no esteem of women, where they live in sadness. For this reason, they have to be raised first. So our government is fully committed to develop basic medical facilities, sanitation, health and hygiene for removal of poverty and illiteracy and discrimination against women. So I request all political parties, people and officials to cooperate in this matter. Thank you, sir.
Minister for Women and Child Welfare, please.
Sir, I am grateful to all the members who have supported the bill. I am also grateful to those members who have given their constructive criticism on it. I am grateful for the advice that has been given to us. With regard to the main suggestion, I would like to say that I do agree that the whole problem of women atrocities and others such are connected with the status of women in the country. But I think we have reached a stage where we are, as a national committed to improve the status of women and give equality to them in all fields. As far as honor killing is concerned, it is addressed in the bill. One of the suggestions that have been made is about the question of female judges. Speaker, sir, I assure the House we have made provision for it in the bill. One of the point raised by the honorable member that the crime is bailable. There seems to have been some misunderstanding, because for any crime where the punishment is for 7 years and imprisonment for death penalty, it is automatically non-bailable as per IPC provisions. I hope I have answered most of the points raised by the honorable members in course of my speech. I once again thank you for your support and seek your cooperation in implementing this measure. So, I request the House to adopt the bill.
The question is that the bill to provide for the emancipation of women and giving equal status in all spheres are taken into consideration. Those who are in favor will please say aye. Those who are against it, please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The bill is considered. Now the question is that clause 1 to 12 stands part of the bill. There is one amendment in clause 11 by Srimati Sahana. Madam, are you moving it?
No, sir. In my view of the reply and assurance given by
Bill. Those who are in favor, please say ayes. Those who are against it, please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Minister for Women and Child Welfare, please. Motion moved that the bill is to be passed. Those who are in favor, please say ayes. Those who are against it, please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The bill is passed. Now, the House will take up the private member resolution. Sri Arvind Goswami to move the resolution. Sri Arvind Goswami, please.
To all the children up to intermediate level. It is enacted by the Parliament in the 16th year of the Republic of India as follows. This act may be called the Free and Compulsory Education Act 2014. Firstly, it extends to the whole of India. Then, it shall come into force on such date as the central government may by explanation. For the purpose of this section, free education includes all fees, including admission and tuition fees, books, notebooks, and stationery materials, free hostel facility wherever necessary, and scholarship in such cases as may be prescribed. The appropriate government shall establish at least one school in every area having a population of 1,000 people. The provisions of this act shall be in addition to and not in derogation of any other law. The central government may, by notification in the official gazette, make rules for carrying out the purposes of this act. So, I request the House for the consideration of the bill.
Srimati Shalini Mishra, please.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I rise to support the bill. The first big unanswered question relates to the fate of the children from weaker sections after they complete their free elementary education in the elite schools, where the tuition fee would be more than the annual income of their parents. Predictably, these children should leave the schools and join the schools of reasonable standards, which are bound to be psychologically troublesome. Second, in the HRD Ministry's view, unrecognized schools are unmitigated evil. It is estimated that out of 12 lakh schools in the country today, only fifth are unrecognized. The rush for the admission in unrecognized schools is due to the fact that standards in government schools are dismal. Thank you, ma'am.
Sri Narendra Kumar, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, an outrageous aspect of the RT Act is that it treats the better government schools as more equal than the others and seeks to insulate them from the upheavals triggered by the Act. By all accounts, the only government schools of a responsible standard are the Kendriya Vidyalayas and Navodaya Vidyalayas, which
Sri
act as
Rachandrapal
part of
Yadav,
the
please.
specified category. Thank you, madam.
First, non-minority private schools feel that they have got raddled. They have to provide free education to 25% of the students who are admitted from economically weaker section. But unaided minority schools are exempted from this obligation. And their second course is that the reimbursement by the state government may not be adequate to cover the expenses incurred on a student, and the free paying words will have to cover up the deficit. This argument has won the support of the middle sections. And the third argument is that the students from poor background are unable to cope with the learning standards, and some are eventually drop out. And finally, they feel that the government is abdicating its responsibility towards educating the poor.
Kokila Ben, please.
Honorable Speaker, ma'am, at least 26 crore children are in the country are of school going age. Going by government statistics, 18 crore children are in a schools. What about the remaining 8 crores? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar argues that the right place for children was in a schools, not in a fields. Still, the provision was not placed with the category of a basic right. Thank you, ma'am.
Minister for Human Resource Development, please.
Article 45 of the Constitution provides that it's the responsibility to provide free and compulsory education to all children until they complete the age of 14 years. The purpose of my intervention is to place before the House the various efforts made by our government to give free and compulsory education to all children and needy. Ma'am, I would like to submit that our government is making many efforts to reach the target of free and compulsory education to all children and to eradicate illiteracy in the country. They are
National Literacy Mission, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Education Guarantee Scheme, District Education Program, etc. in view of the efforts undertaken by the government to meet this target. Ma'am, through you, I request Sri Arvind Goswami to withdraw his resolution.
Sri Arvind Goswami, please.
Honorable Ma'am, in view of, I am grateful to the Honorable members for lending support to my resolution. In view of the assurance given by the Honorable Minister, and since government is already working to deal with this objective, I hope that the government will take all the measures to eliminate illiteracy and achieve the target of free and compulsory education to all children and needy. Therefore, I may be allowed to withdraw this resolution.
Has the honorable member leave of the House to withdraw his resolution? The resolution by the House is withdrawn. Now the House is adjourned to meet again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you.